Hi, I'm glad you waited. Go ahead.
Mr. Donahue, at the onset of the show, you inflamed your white audience by describing the men accompanying Reverend Farakhan as intimidating. They appear to be gentlemanly to me. But anytime a black man speaks out against injustices perpetrated against us by white people, there's something wrong with him. And you've helped to contribute to that attitude by suggesting that these men who are with Reverend Farakhan are somehow intimidating and fierce-looking.
Well, they are intimidating.
No. They're not. No.
You don't think he's intimidating?
No, I do not think they're intimidating. They are doing
Are the Secret Service intimidating?
They certainly don't look
Yeah, that's a good point.
Are the Secret Service intimidating? Are the police intimidating?
All right.
Well, what kind of society do we live in then?
Yeah, don't miss her point, though. She's saying, so she feels this is a white media attempt to what? Trivialize the guest?
Not only that, if any time a black man speaks out against the injustices perpetrated against us by whites, there's somehow the meaning that they're somehow diminished. What the purpose is diminished by suggesting that well these men are they're fearful.
No. I understand your point. I think your point should be considered. I truly do. Minister Farakhan thanks you for your support. You will not be upset with this bleeding heart white liberal if I call your attention to the fact Louis Farakhan is, as I said, drawing larger and larger crowds, and boy, I'll tell you this, you're getting right up there with all those TV evangelists. You got stuff to sell now. And that's legal here in America. But how do we know you're not a Billy Sunday? And not to mention, you know, we've had an awful lot of terrible things happen in the name of the Lord down through the years, the most recent of which might be entitled the Jim Jones escapade. Now, I'm not here to suggest that you're capable of that kind of behavior, Minister Farakhan, but you will not be upset with me for saying that folks like you have a responsibility to retain some humility and not presume that you are the possessor of absolute truth, and to reach out, perhaps, for a dialogue, something that your rhetoric does not promote.
I would be very glad to have a dialogue. In fact, I asked for a dialogue with the Jewish leadership of the B'nai B'rith. They denied that. Sir, with all due respect to you, the popes are supposed to be infallible. Yeah. But history tells us they made many, many mistakes and were responsible for a lot of wrongdoing.
Something that's been called to the attention of our audience here on more than a few occasions.
So when a black person stands up and gathers thousands of black people to listen to him, automatically whites fear. Why do you fear? It is because you feel a guilt. And that guilt is that one day blacks are going to repay whites for the evil that they poured on us. That's why you don't want a black person to be a strong black leader.
Yeah, I'm concerned about a statement you made at the beginning of the show as far as religion goes. Each one that has their own religion follows their God. Why would you even question what a Jew is when they follow their God? The same as you follow your God and I follow mine.
What I'm questioning is not one's right to follow one's God. I'm questioning a practice of injustice that has deprived Palestinians of their homeland and deprived blacks and Indians of justice in the United States. All the people that deprive us claim to be religious.
But you don't promote. Incidentally, you're not alone, as you must know, in your feeling about that agony. You don't promote the possibility of peace by using words like great to describe Hitler. I still can't believe that you in your heart think there's something promoting the general welfare embodied in that kind of rhetoric. Sir, I don't think you believe that.
Again, you know, you are an intelligent man, Mr. Donahue. You know the dictionary. You know the word great, you know what it means, you know the colloquial meaning, and the colloquial meaning is not the actual meaning of the word. So when I said Hitler was great, that meant he was consequential. And your esteemed writers say that the beginning of political acumen today is the study of Adolf Hitler. I didn't say that. Mr. Wills said that.
I thank you for the compliment, and I want to say that anybody with your education and abilities and gifts, who is consistently, chronically misunderstood by the majority of people, is doing so purposely. You are either selling tickets to your next rally, or you are purposely trying to enrage those against whom you feel you have these...
Mr. Donahue, with all due respect, I think that's a rather mischief-making statement in that you accuse the victim of the crime. Now, I have... Just a minute. If the press gave an accurate distillation of my words to the American people, I would have nothing to say. But the press misrepresented what I said, and you continue to do the same thing.
I mean, he asked a question. He said, Jesus said, love one another as I have loved you. And in another breath, he says, terrorism is in the eyes of the beholder. I want to know what your idea of terrorism is.
Well, first, let me say this, that, you know, it's easy to talk about love. But what is love? If you don't give freedom, justice, and equality, you cannot love. If black people are in America and we've given our sweat and our blood to maintain and build this country and to defend it, and we have not yet acquired real freedom, real justice, real equality, then the hypocrites who continue to say, what is love, or you should love, have not loved themselves.
Over here.
Now,
you wanted to make... Sir, hold on.
The program of black people using their resources to rebuild themselves, how can one know more about that and get more involved with that? That's a positive thought.
I think they should
buy the cassettes, the albums.
They should.
That's all right.
They should call an 800 number 1-843 and power, and they'll find out all about how we can pool our resources to change the conditions.
What's the number again?
1-843 power.
All right.
I would hope that you all would call it.
Yeah.
I was not an ardent supporter of Minister Farakhan, but in light of the Reagan administration and everything that's been going on in the past 4 or 5 years, to me, Minister Farakhan has become the castor oil I think this racist America needs in order to begin to clean us out, because the problem is, the reason that so much opposition is to what Minister Farakhan says is because it hits to the core, and he's throwing out some statements that hurt, and people are feeling guilty about them. And what happened is,
doesn't it trouble you that he uses other people's oppression? He manipulates it, and through confused rhetoric seems to almost forgive it, when in fact you and I know, and so does he, that those people who were victimized, for example, in the Holocaust, were victimized by the same kind of fear, hatred, and psychotic behavior that you feel has oppressed people of color all these years. Now, why do that? Why use someone else's agony to try and get attention for your own?
Whose language?
No, we're not using someone else's agony. We're using our own agony.
That's right.
Black folk are agonizing in America, not because of Adolf Hitler, but because of Reagan administration, because of former administration's inactivity to solve the problem of justice for black people.
And the other point is that white America wants us to use their language of oppression, and if we talk the way white America feels, then it's okay, but as soon as we start talking from our black perspective, then all of a sudden it's racist.
And do you know why this is, sister? You know why this is? Yeah. Because most whites actually still feel that they're in the position of the slave master and we're the slave. Just a minute. If that were not so, don't I have the right to invite Mr. Gaddafi or any other African leader, and don't we have the right to listen to what they say, accept or reject what they have to say? Why do I have to apologize to white people for acting as a free black man? I am not your slave.